And welcome to the Mountain Time Sports Report, Mountain Standard Time Sports Report. We are live May 7th, 2025. Did not mean for that to rhyme at all. We got Rapid Rant coming up here in a little bit. First, I wanted to get to some news from our time zone, the Mountain Time Zone. Big news today. Utah, in the pattern that they do, they went ahead and big news this morning. A couple things other than the Federal Reserve not changing the interest rate again. Whatever. Business part of Mountain Time Sports Report, although that affects every time zone. Every time zone in the world. Do you like the Colorado Mammoth? Ever been to a box lacrosse game here in Denver? Well, Utah did it again. And they decided to copy another team's name. And they're Utah Mammoth. Utah Mammoth. It kind of leaked last week, but today was the official release. Don't know if they moved it up. They showed off the new jerseys. They're going to have them, 3 weeks till the draft, 4 or 5 weeks till the draft, NHL draft. Avalanche, I think, have the 26th pick or something like that. So there's that. Utah, they're number 4. I am under the weather. I'm sorry. My name's Don Pablo. Coming up here on Mountain Time Sports Report. I got a story, because I was thinking about it after Luka Doncic left the Mavericks in the way he did, and how upset that fan base was, and watching the Rockies, who actually was postponed last night. They play the Tigers, one today, doubleheader tomorrow, 8th of May, and that's a day night. So that's awesome. Actually, 2 during the day, 1:10 and 4:40. So some afternoon Rockies baseball. Tonight, if they still play, Dollander will pitch for Colorado. Another, but the Mammoth, Colorado Mammoth, now the Utah Mammoth. There's dinosaurs in Utah. They have Dinosaur National Park, if I remember correctly. They have all that stuff. So the Utah Mammoth, all right. Their logo looks a little different. They have a mountain range in the logo. Maybe an ode to mountain time. And, of course, they were the old Arizona Coyotes that moved to Utah. And Arizona, that guy gave up his chance. He's not worried about getting an expansion team anymore. So Arizona, unless something else happens, they're not getting an NHL team anytime soon. And I heard Atlanta was even in line before them. And Atlanta trying to try again. And if Atlanta gets a NHL team, it'll be the third time. The Flames obviously moved to Calgary. The Thrashers moved to Winnipeg. And by the way, Atlanta, you've lost your team to Canada twice. Whatever. Maybe give them another chance in Atlanta, and then the Quebec Nordiques will come back after that. Sorry, I'm just coughing a lot. I started a little late today because I had to wait for the office park manager to come inspect the place by biannual inspection. And the reason I thought of this story, and all right, good job, Mammoth. We'll, whatever. You did it again. You stole somebody else's team name, and I guess it's better than just ripping off the New Orleans Jazz or I don't know, Real Salt Lake. Who speaks Spanish? Like I've been there, been to Utah multiple times, and I mean, there's Mexican people, there's people that speak Spanish, native Spanish speakers, but they're few and far between. In Colorado, especially Denver area, vastly is the majority, compared to Utah. Even we're bigger in size than them, but for their soccer team to be called Real Salt Lake, okay, just call them the Royals, Royal Salt Lake. Then you can, whatever. They're the Monarchs. Why can't you be the Royals? On the other side, whatever. Although, explain to me the royalty in Utah. Anyway, enough Utah hate. They're fine. They're not going anywhere. It's okay. So there's that. All right. And do you have any people in your life, like not your significant other, that you would not want to make angry? And I don't know if it was unintentional by the Dallas Mavericks general manager, Nico, but he traded Doncic, and obviously that was the sports move maybe of the year that is confusing and angering to some fans. It happened with the Rockies when they traded Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals, and we paid him, and then we got Chris Bryant, we paid him about the same money that Arenado got, and he's played basically one full season out of the 3 or 4 that he's been on the Colorado Rockies. So, that angered the fan base, and I don't think the Rockies have recovered from it. And you watched opening day, not many people. They got some people for last week when, forgive me, I just got to see who was in town. I was looking at the Rockies schedule. And so the biggest attendance they've had so far this year was when the Giants came to town. Nope, it was Braves. And the Rockies actually won a game. So there's that. There's 6-28 on the season. Still on pace for the lowest amount of wins in a season. And by the way, I got really upset because the Rockies can't even get the number 1 pick, and they're not even going to be in the top 5. And they might be in the top 10 but it's going to be number 10. That's the highest they can pick. The highest they can pick is 10th. So we can't. Some people say they can't tank right. So there's that. And anyway, so obviously Dallas Mavericks fans, maybe the most angry fan base, and we played it for the Rockies, but I was going to dog sit, and it was dog sitting, and they're Great Danes, 2 Great Danes. So me walking around with 2 Great Danes, you get a lot of notice, and people talk. They say what's up, and I'm a large man, so when I'm walking around with my Labrador, not as much speak, but when they see the biscuit shy of 350 guy walking around 2 Great Danes upwards of 100 pounds, and one of them was named Moose, and he was a big boy, man. He was the biggest Great Dane I've ever seen. So get a lot of attention. Anyway, so they come to drop off these Great Danes, and I play like a weekly poker game with some industry people, restaurant industry people. And so their day off, usually Tuesday or Wednesday, the slowest days of the restaurant industry. So they're coming to drop these people off. And, if I'm out till like 5 or 6 in the morning on poker nights, then that's a good night. That means I made some money. And that happened to me. And it just happened to be the next day that they were coming to drop off these dogs. And so I don't know what happened to my alarm. I slept through the alarm. And the wife, and I love her. I went to their wedding. They're wonderful, great people. But I think that other people would agree, she is the last person that I would want to anger. And I do have a defense. It's very weak, but apparently the story was she was banging on the door to my place for half an hour, and I was knocked out, man. It was exactly 12:15 when I woke up, but I was knocked out, and I hear this banging. I'm like, what is that noise? Like, because I'm waiting for my alarm to go off, and in my opinion, it never did. Although that would be fixed it would be fixed, daily in a couple days after of this event. And so I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, oh, that's my house. Somebody's banging on the door. So I open the door, and of course it's her. And I would rather have my wife angry at me. Seriously. And so the elevator ride down, I'm sorry. Like, I had to put clothes on. I'm sorry. Like, I had to go outside, put some clothes on, whatever. I'm like, I thought is there an emergency? Is the building on fire? Nope. It was Dawn not waking up for the alarm to house sit these dogs and babysit these dogs. They were coming over to my house. Oh, man. And so we get to the elevator, and there's the maintenance guy, for the building. And we're homies. You gotta be, that's one relationship. You gotta be good. That's you gotta be cool with your maintenance guy. They fix your stuff. Feed him whatever he needs. So he's like so high. He's stoned out of his mind, and I'm just like. By the way, this is 12:15 on a Wednesday. But we're homies, so I'm laughing, and the mood was me, jovial Don, like whatever, just saying what's up, and so I'm walking to the elevator with my friend, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm looking down, I'm so like I gotta act sad, like I did something wrong, even though I'm kind of doing them a favor, but whatever, all right. So so the maintenance man, we're joking, and the joking lasted exactly one floor. He gets off on the second floor. I get off on the first floor, and she was just like, "What?" I'm like, "I don't know. My alarm didn't. I don't know." Oh, excuse me. So we go get the dogs. The husband comes up with me on the elevator with these Great Danes, two giant dogs, and we take a shot of tequila. You know, now get to my defense part. So there's one relationship, and by the way, it's gonna take years to repair this relationship, just like the Dallas Mavericks, just like the Colorado Rockies. Although you could argue that the Rockies haven't done it, and maybe if the Mavericks, make the playoffs or make a deep run in the playoffs here in the next couple of years, that the trade might look good. But it's gonna take me a while to fix my relationship with those people. And I was trying to, we go to movies, so I was trying to like take them out to a movie, but apparently I'm not invited to the movie. It's just going to be my wife and her friend, and Dawn's not invited for a while, which is fine. But it was the last people I want to upset. And if you're a sports general manager, like how do you lose that much goodwill? Because you're a sports team, professional athletes. How do you lose that much goodwill? And maybe that'll be a ongoing topic other than stadiums, business, and mountain time zone anyway. So there's that. Utah Jazz also tanking to get, although I think it's next year because that guy that goes to BYU, that forgive me, I forget his name now. So Utah trying to get that guy, which I don't have time to go look into that. We'll get started with Rapid Rant here in a minute. And it was funny because I looked at my phone, and I don't know why it does this, but if you oversleep your alarm enough, it starts counting how long you've overslept. And so mine was at 90 minutes, and I'm like, why would it do that? Like to know how long you've overslept, but still, like, why doesn't the alarm just keep going off? So it was at Easter dinner, and I told this story because with different friends, and so they were like, I miss my old alarm clock that just goes off, and it's the most annoying noise, and you have to hate your alarm clock. It's a love-hate relationship. You have to hate it, but you love it because it works. So now I have an old, like, like, it gets you up. It gets me up. In my my first defense, the alarm clock did it. I don't know. I can't do these new alarm clocks on the phone. I need a dedicated alarm clock, old style, that yells at you. I got one. Second thing, they told me early afternoon. All right, what time is early afternoon? Is it 11:30? No, 11:30 is not early afternoon. All right, you're there at 11:30. That's not new. That's morning. All right, and I will equate it to this, which my wife got mad at me. I'm like, look, I've been yelled at by a drill sergeant in the year, early 2002. Don't say good morning when it's 12:05. All right, early afternoon starts at noon. If you're there at 11:30, that's not early afternoon. Although I did oversleep my alarm, but still, if you're coming afternoon. If you're coming right at noon, say noon. Although I am the jerk because I was supposed to be awake. It's my fault. I take the fault. I was wrong. And I am sorry, and I apologize profusely. And let me say this. I took these dogs on a tour of Denver. They stayed with us for several days. I took them. They went on a tour of South Denver parks, the premier South Denver parks. Okay, Bible Park, Harvard Gulch, and then we went to Wash Park. I try. Although, whatever, Wash Park. I know Wash Park as we played. There's not lacrosse teams weren't that big when I was in high school, so we played with South. It was South TJ, and we took a couple other from around the Denver metro area. And we were, as a hazing tradition, we would throw the freshmen in the lake, Wash Park. That's what I know Wash Park. I didn't care about. I don't know. It wasn't as popular, I would say, as it is today. You couldn't. Now you park like half a mile away to get there. Anyway, don't mess up those relationships. Although if you come in early afternoon, come in early afternoon and not morning time. All right. Don't trade Nolan Arenado for a poor man hurt all the time, Nolan Arenado, and it sucks for him because the Cardinals they've been basically the Rockies, 2.0 for his career, and I thought he would be a statue player in front of Coors Field instead of the generic statue. Although Todd Helton should have a statue, in my opinion, because he's the best player to play in the Rockies' first 30 years of existence, and he played his entire career with Colorado. Did make a World Series. I saw the first time I ever met Todd Helton, I saw him crying from making the playoffs in front of his, good for him, good guy. Walking out of that game 163 versus the Padres in 2007, that's a story for a different time. I was not contacted by the police, but I saw somebody that was. So don't mess up those relationships. And why we gotta be mad at me? You told me early afternoon. You came in the morning. I'm wrong. I apologize profusely. All right. There's your Mountain Time Zone update. Oh, the Denver Nuggets are playing tonight, up 1-0 against Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City apparently reacting to Steve Ballmer and the Los Angeles Clippers buying 100+ tickets and putting them right behind the one of the baskets in Game 7 in Denver last week. They released a statement today that if you're not from one of these surrounding, not Colorado states, if you're not from one of those states and your address to your credit card is one of those, then you really can't buy a ticket to the Oklahoma City Thunder game. And all right, I guess that's cool. I don't think Kroenke would buy 100 tickets and bus people there, but maybe, but that's not even an option anymore. And if the Nuggets can somehow go up 2-0 against the Thunder, oh boy, it's going to change all the topic, especially because the Celtics are down 2-0 to the Indiana Pacers, which and these NBA playoffs pretty much chalk in the first round, and the second round has been upside down land. But I'm here for it because after this, all we have is the Rapids once a week and the Rockies every single day, and there's that, and everybody's still mad from Arenado leaving. And my friends, they won't spend money. A lot of my friends, and this is anecdotal, I understand, very small sample size. They're not spending money on the Rockies, and they won't do it. And judging from the press box that I hang out in, they don't like those jerseys, and I don't like the jerseys either. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. If you look up Arizona Diamondbacks, they came out with their City Connect jerseys. They're 100 times better than the Rockies. And I don't know, man. Just like the Thunder, how many colors do we need? The rainbow looks good because it's a rainbow, and that's the way, the UV light or whatever happens. But how many colors do we need? At least the Diamondbacks picked 2 colors. Like, just pick whatever. So, and I will give them this: the batting helmets look good in baby blue, but why don't we just have all baby blue or all green? But whatever, or all purple, or just the top purple, which the Rockies have done in the past. So, but maybe that's my old man brain not understanding the new trends. But I don't think the Rockies are selling that much merch of that because I don't know. I don't know people buying it, and I don't know people that even go to the games, and their tickets are how many? You can see how much they could be bought for here. Next game at home will be the Bear with me for 1 second. San Diego Padres. That'll be Friday. Friday, $7 you can get in. That's not rock pile. $7 you can get in. Maybe good seats. $10 Saturday, $7 on Sunday. See the Padres. They are 1 game back in the West. Rockies currently 17. So, man, I mean, at least you can get into Coors Field for cheap. Definitely cheaper than the Colorado Rapids. But do you want to watch that brand of baseball? Is it worth it? I would say yes to see Machado. And, of course, Yankees are coming up in the next homestand at the end of May. Those are 37s is the cheapest you can get for the Yankees game. And those are also Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they'll probably go up even more as it gets closer to those matches. But let's get started here on Rapid Rant in a second. And I'm excited because we got a lot coming up. We got a lot to discuss on that. Hopefully no more Don Pablo embarrassing stories. But you never know. You never know what embarrassing story will come through my head next that I have to put out there. And if that's the one in public that I overslept and I answered the door half naked because I thought there was a fire in my building. Nope. I got a lot more. Host Emeritus Caberto will attest to that. Or my wife or whoever knows me. So there you go. So give me a second and we'll start Rapid Rant. Thanks for listening to Mountain Time Sports Report, Mountain Standard Time Sports Report. And I don't know if you can see, but I got the chairs set up in the background here. Might have an interview sometime soon. I'm going to set the mics up and do it that way. And hopefully, I got to move the camera here for a sec in a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Maybe a little change of format coming up for Rapid Rant pretty soon. In studio guests. And for the record, I corrected the alarm clock problem. I have an old alarm clock. And luckily, I didn't even have to pay for it because the people on Easter Sunday that I told the story to, they gave it to me. So there's that. All right. Let me do like a 30-second cough my lungs out break, and I'll be right back with Rapid Rant.
Something the players addressed after the game. It's not. It's something that it's too consistent now to ignore. It's becoming somewhat of a pattern, and I think we have to all take responsibility for that. Is it how we're managing the game? Is it our approach to these ended time or added time in halves? But yeah, these minutes right before halftime, it's too many goals. And it carries an emotion and an influence into halftime. I think if you go into that half with a 1-0 lead, it's a very different approach than going in 2-1 down. And particularly, and I think credit to DC, they sat in the second half. They were able to protect the lead. It was a 5-4-1 and kind of defend on top of their own box, and it's difficult to break down. And but that's something we'll take responsibility for. First as a staff, then the players, and as a group, we're going to look at it and analyse it, and it's definitely a trend we want to break. And it's when you can see goals in those times and in that manner, it's hard to win football games.
Oh man, that was Chris Little talking about the 2 goals the Rapids gave up right before halftime, and game ended 2-1 in DC. Chris Little, interim coach for the evening, after Armis did his Hall of Fame speech and induction to the Soccer Hall of Fame, and due to plane trouble, didn't make it to DC for the match. Excuse me. And before we get into the game, congratulations to Armis. And I was thinking about it. A lot of times athletes, you ask them the question of, you set a record or you set a personal best, and they don't want to talk about it. They always deflect, like, help the team, and they're the 1% of the 1% of athletes. And when you start setting records like he does, and to get in the National Soccer Hall of Fame, I always wonder, like, what switch changes where you start talking about what you did versus back then versus what you've done recently. And to get that honor, congratulations to Coach Armis. And he's just his positive, upbeat demeanor, the way he talks about the team, the way he develops young players. Of course, Yappy now starting. Ali Laraz, pretty solid starter. I said that night, I'm like, well, if he can't make it, I'm sure he's watching the game very intently. Chris Little does talk about that in the press conference right in the beginning. But I hope he got drunk after that, or at least celebrated in whatever way he does with his people. And there at the Hall of Fame, I'm sure he had some. I think his brothers presented him. So yeah, I hope they had fun. And I know he has come back for this big match against San Jose, the first team the Rapids have played twice this season, if you don't count the Champions Cup against LAFC. So in regular season MLS competition anyway. And Rapids, it'll be the first game in 3 matches next week, culminating with Salt Lake. So there's that. We got a rivalry week next week. Next week's Rapids Rant should be fun. I get to make fun of Salt Lake. I usually go on about that for a couple minutes. I used some of that material in the Mountain Time Sports Report earlier. Thanks for listening to us. I believe co-host emeritus Keberto will be on the show next week for rivalry week. Excuse me. Try not to cough my lungs out. But I just Armis Little was talking about giving up 2 goals right before half, and it happened again. And they're talking about how it's kind of a trend now. And I asked that question last week on Rapid Rant, and it's weird. It's weird that it keeps happening, and I attributed it a couple weeks ago to the 10 minutes that we got in the end of the first half for the Rapids. And man, they just give up 2 goals right before halftime. I don't know. It's strange because we should still have our best, and the Rapids should still have their best. And Stefan, for all the good stats he's putting up this year, it's just weird, man. I don't think there's a drop off either. I don't get it. And I don't know what the coach is, but now they're talking about it. So now it's definitely a thing. They come out in public, talk about it. So we'll see what happens at the end of the first half this weekend. I remember the first match of the season. I went down to talk to the fans. It was the very first match of the season, and by the time I got downstairs, it was giving up 2 goals, and the game was tied, and that's how it ended. And I was just befuddled, and now it's happened many times since then. So if that's the story for the first third of the MLS season, Rapids being 500 and still in playoff position right now, they're in wild card spot. I guess that's the story. Although I would say we're having a good year, and the youngsters that are coming up are doing well. Yappy is seemingly grabbed a hold of a starting spot, and now the Rapids are 2 strikers up top. And I'm excited for it. Ollie Navarro's having a season, and Georgie, of course, is Georgie. And his fiery personality, I love to see it. Josh Atencio, early seasons trade from Seattle. He's fiery. And even though we're getting the nastiness, the toughness from those guys, the Rapids are still doing really good and disciplinary action. Although I swear, I don't know, on the MLS website, it doesn't say that the Rapids got a red card. I don't know if that's just from the run of play, because apparently Stefan got a red card and he had to sit out a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I'll try to ask about that, but I don't think people will know. Anyway, so the Rapids go down DC United 2-1. And going to the East Coast, it's always tough, and I think the most you can ask for is a draw. Maybe the Rapids should have won that game, and I feel like the Rapids have been in most of these matches. I don't remember feeling like they've been, except for when we played LAFC in Champions Cup. Like, I don't think the Rapids have really been out of any match. And having a -1 goal differential, like, that would kind of lend to that case, because they're basically even on goals scored and goals against. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Rapids playing San Jose again. Bruce Arenas. Rapids went to San Jose and won. And it's the return leg of that. San Jose on the season, who are kind of gotten a resurgence under Bruce Arena. Obviously, he's the man, so, one of coaching legends, as they say, and for sure in MLS. And U.S. national team, maybe the best coach U.S. national team's ever had. So there's that. And looking at the supporter shield standing, San Jose's kind of down by us. Oh, that's San Jose just out of playoff position in 10th place, but much better than last year when they finished with the wooden spoon. Currently occupied by 2024 MLS Cup champion Los Angeles Galaxy. -13 goal differentials, 0 win, 8 losses, 3 draws on the season for the Gals. Not sad about it. Beat LA, right? That's how we do it in Denver these days. And when Denver and Colorado teams beat LA, then they win championships. All right. And just because Rapids YouTube guys have been going crazy and having a bunch of different, they put up 12 videos so far this week, not counting today's press conference that they're about to do. But I just want to remember one of the best moments in Rapids history, maybe the best moment in Rapids history.
That's pressure for you. Casey. It's Kanji. Still going. Crazy deflection and it is an own goal of George John. Colorado Rapids. It's a free goal, but the Rapids are ahead.
Woo! Of course, Makuba Kanji scoring in the MLS Cup 107th minute and bringing the Rapids MLS Cup 2010. I did not make it to Toronto. That's when they had picked spots for the MLS Cup in that game. Of course, the Rapids Eastern Conference champions going against FC Dallas in Toronto. And anytime we beat Dallas, I want to remember that, because the Avalanche, they had a rough one. Maybe one of the biggest collapses in Game 7 history last week. Tough day. We laughed because I would cry, but what are you going to do? So there's that. Just some good memories. Don't be sad. Be happy that we had a Game 7 and we got to that. Because as I was explaining last week, would you rather... We wouldn't rather be excited for the draft. We would rather be excited for the season and not for what could happen in a couple weeks. So, all right. Coming up on Rapids Rant, we're just going to talk about the standings, some matches coming up this weekend other than the Rapids that I'm excited for. And I don't know, we get to some Champions Cup, which is the final, is happening. And Vancouver on their tear in first place in Supporters Shield. They're beating everybody 2-0. They beat Inter Miami at home last week 2-0. Or 2 weeks ago. Last week they went to Miami. They won 3-1, and it will be Canada versus Mexico in the Champions Cup final, early June 5th, I believe. So Vancouver versus Cruz Azul, who will be playing the Rapids this year. That will be in Los Angeles later in Leagues Cup, the Rapids' third match of Leagues Cup. So Cruz Azul, Rapids fan, definitely interested in watching them. And Champions Cup final because I want to see Vancouver take it home. And Vancouver's on a roll. And they're playing also. So they don't play in the U.S. Open Cup, obviously, because they're Canadian, but they're still in the Canadian Championship Cup 2, their local national tournament. So Vancouver's playing so many matches, and they're just handling business. We'll see. We'll see if it slows them down at all. But, in a couple of weeks when they get rest, and who knows, they maybe be on a tear. Although last year, of course, the LA Galaxy came out of nowhere to win, although it was when Puig became healthy again at the end of the season. So, but LA Galaxy have some work to do to even make the playoffs at this point. And that's pretty much what it is. It's Rapids, solid playoff right now. They've been as high as third, tied for second on points. Tiebreakers brought them down, but right now Rapids in ninth place in the West. Make that eighth place in the West. Sorry, I don't want to rob them spots. Like I said, Vancouver first, Minnesota, Portland, San Diego round out the top 4. LAFC, Austin, Seattle hosting playoff games at this point. Colorado, Dallas, MLS Cup 2010 as the wild card game. San Jose just out of it. Salt Lake 2 points out in 11th place. They have 3 games next week too. I think every team has 3 matches next week. So hopefully we can play Salt Lake and be in a better spot before we play them. Salt Lake 2-3 at home this year. 2 wins, 4 losses on the road. So hopefully the Rapids can make some hay while Salt Lake is down this early in the season. Kansas City, St. Louis, Houston, 12, 13, 14, all on 10 points. And as I said, Los Angeles Galaxy, 3 points. So there's 7 points out. That's 3 games back, basically. A third of the way through the season. Long time to go. 34 matches, and every team has played 11. Except for Miami, New England. They postponed a game because of Miami's early schedule in the season. So every team's played 11 out of 34. A third of the way through the season. Rapids are in playoff spot. And let's see, they're 1 point out of 4th place. 17. San Diego, LAFC, 17 points. Austin, Seattle, Colorado, 16 points. So it's up and down every week. It could be 4th place. We could be 8th place. And it's just the dogfight that is the Western Conference. Eastern Conference basically still early, I should say, but we'll see. I'd rather be in playoff position than just out of it or a couple points out right now. Before I get off the earlier game, Oli Larraz played Ted Gutibietro. Forgive me. He got some run against his old team, DC United. Sam Vines got in. And Kamani Stewart-Baines, he played. So I was excited to see him. Rapids had some chances, but just didn't work in the nation's capital. Rapids versus the Eastern Conference. I should have looked that up while I was prepping for today's Rapids Rant. Let's get to some scores around the league. from last week. Excuse me. Cruz over Tigres to make Champions Cup final, and Vancouver over Miami. Excited for that. That's going to happen in a couple weeks here. Atlanta, Nashville tied. New England 2, Toronto nothing. Columbus 4-2 over Charlotte. That was in Ohio. Miami beat New York 4-1. Minnesota shut out Austin, who was in, I think, third place at that point, 3-0. That was in Austin. And I think Austin, they have a losing record at home, if I remember correctly. No, I was wrong. Three wins, two losses, one draw, but they are -6 goal differential. -6 goal differential and in 6th place in the league. So maybe that sorts itself out and Austin, drops in the standings, but 3-0 against Minnesota. That's rough. Orlando, Chicago, scoreless draw. San Diego puts it on Dallas 5-0. Vancouver over Salt Lake. Thank you, Vancouver, 2-1. LAFC over Houston, 2-0. And Seattle 4, St. Louis 1. Sunday Night Football. It was Kansas City versus the LA Galaxy in Kansas. 1-0. 1-0 Kansas City shut out the Galaxy. And New York City 1-0 over Cincinnati. Man, Galaxy, they couldn't beat Kansas City. Everybody beats Kansas City. Kansas City fired their coach. What's happening, LA? You're gonna dig yourself a hole too big. But if I was told they were in last place, but the Rapids are gonna win it this year, I guess I'll take it. If Rapids bring home their second championship in 2025, but they're going to be in last place next year, I would take it. Because I don't know. I don't know if Rapids are hosting MLS Cup, but it would have been a lot easier to go to Dallas for that cup in 2010 than Toronto. Anyway. In the Eastern Conference, which I didn't do, and forgive me, Columbus 24 points in first place. Philadelphia and Cincinnati 22 points. Miami has one game in hand, so they technically could rise to first place. They're in fourth, 21. Charlotte in fifth place, 19. 3 teams tied at 17 points, 6, 7, 8, Nashville, New York, Orlando. New England, 16 points. They're in the playoffs after a rough last year. Glad for them. Hope they can get a playoff game in Foxborough end of the season. Because although, and I believe they're getting their own stadium soon, so that'll be fun for those guys. Just outside of the playoffs, looking in, New York Red Bull 15 points, Chicago 13 and 11th place, 12th with 12 points, DC United. Atlanta and Toronto 13 and 14 and 3 points for Montreal. 8 games played on the road on the season, only 3 at home. And I believe they're playing this week at home. Let's go to that schedule. A bunch of U.S. Open games, but we'll get to that in a minute. Montreal, nope, they're going to Yankee Stadium. That's their Saturday night game over there. 7:30 their time, 5:30 Mountain Time. Rapids get a 7:30 game. Excited about that. At Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Hopefully, and I believe the weather's going to be better than it is the last 2 days. It's been raining crazy here, and if it was a month ago, it would have been feet of snow in Colorado. So I'll take it. And I think the ski slopes that haven't closed yet got feet of snow up in the mountains. If you were going camping early, you had a big surprise these last couple days, for sure. Although I don't know, it's too early for summer break, and it's too late for spring breaks. But I'm sure there's some people that were trying to go camping this week that were in for a good surprise at that point, because I think the road isn't open up there, whatever it's called. But you're right around here. You're right around now is when you get some fun. You can rent the national parks campgrounds and all that stuff here in Colorado, which everybody does outdoor stuff, and which is what makes me excited because the Rapids had their biggest crowd of the season 2 weeks ago. Other games I'm interested in: Miami, Minnesota. Maybe we'll have that on TV. That's a 2:30 game, so I'm probably going to watch that. I wonder what time the Nuggets are on. I don't know if they're on Saturday or not. That's going to put some kinks in my plan. That'll be fun. Although, might have it on over at the Rapid Stadium. Let me just check real quick here. So tonight they're playing. I wonder if they're playing Friday or. By the way, you type in Denver Nuggets, and the first question on Google is, why did the Nuggets change their name? And I'm like, that happened 40 years ago. This is like they moved to the ABA and they had the Houston Rockets already, so Denver Rockets changed their name to the Denver Nuggets, of course. Nope, it's Friday. Friday night, Ball Arena. Nuggets host the Thunder, and then Sunday. Perfect. Nothing competing against the Rapids Saturday night. I don't count the Rockies at this point, although I am an old man and I was a Cleveland Indians fan. Now we call them the Cleveland baseball team. I don't know if you can see for viewers. You know, I'm a native. So I'm a Tribe fan, old school. So there's that. And if they win today, they were winning. They will take tie for first place for the American League wins, and they did. They held on. Cleveland Guardians 8, Washington Nationals 6. So I'll take it. I'll take it, Cleveland. Thank you. And I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is going to start out right, but the Cleveland Browns don't have a quarterback, so that's going to be a fun competition to watch. Maybe one of the only things to watch about Cleveland in the preseason to see if Shedeur Sanders starts for the Browns. But the Guardians have been in the playoffs the last couple of years, so at least they have that there in northeastern Ohio. All right, I guess that's pretty much it, man. We're going to watch some Sunday night football this week, Sunday, May 11th in MLS regular season. LAFC goes to Vancouver. So that would be pretty interesting, and that's right before the Nuggets game. So I know what my Sunday afternoon is going to be like. MLS Sunday Night Football, Vancouver LAFC, and then the Denver Nuggets host the Oklahoma City Thunder. Maybe I go to that game. I'm not sure. But Colorado San Jose coming up this weekend. This is the Rapids Rant. Find us on all major podcasting platforms. I'd like to thank host emeritus Caberto posting those. I edit and produce, and Caberto posts and hosts sometimes, although he's a busy boy. He's a busy guy, so he lets me do this, and I appreciate it. Been going on for almost an hour now. Got out my stories, got out some Rapids thoughts, feelings. Feel good about the season. We're only a third of the way through. Rapids Rant takes you through the entire season, the ups and downs. Coach Armis calls it a triathlon. I used to call it a marathon, but it's not just running. It's jumping, scoring, having fun, not just running, because running 26 miles, I don't see – the only time I see people smiling is at the end when they're done or laying on the ground after they stopped, and a lot of times they're not smiling. Triathlon, swimming, that's fun. Bike riding and running. And what would I do? I know they have to swim first, but I swim, run, bike. Because I feel like biking is the easiest. And I understand you're using all your muscles in your body, but like swimming, you're kicking a lot. All right, running, you're hurting your feet. Biking, you're just pushing your bike. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't do triathlons. If you are watching on YouTube or Twitch live, subscribe there. Click notifications. You can watch or listen live when we do that. It is currently 1:35 Mountain Time. This is Mountain Time Sports Report. Rapids Rant, a division of Mountain Time Sports Reports. Mountain Standard Time Sports Report. I take you through the Mountain Time Zone and all the happenings. And there's rumbles. I heard rumbles that if LA or Las Vegas doesn't get their act together with the stadium, that the Athletics might move to Utah. And my first thought was, well, the Athletics have moved with their nickname from every place that they've been home, which is Philadelphia, Kansas City, Oakland. Now they're in Sacramento. They might move to Las Vegas. But if Las Vegas doesn't work out, I heard maybe instead of expansion, the Athletics might move to Utah. So there's that, Utah fans. And then the Rockies will have another regional rival, although the A's are in the American League and the Rockies, of course, in the National League. Although that maybe could change. Never count out realignment in any sport. Excuse me. One more cough. All right. So that'll do it for Rapids Rant this week. Week 12 of the regular season. 3 months in already. We're in May. I didn't get to some more rumblings of changing the schedule. And I don't think the schedule changes in MLS is going to go away. I think the more I hear it, the more I think it's happening. Because the foreign investment, and actually I think Wrexham, and they got promoted again, so they're in the championship next year. The guy from It's Always Sunny and Deadpool, they might have changed the landscape of U.S. soccer, even though I don't think they own a part in any MLS team. They own a Mexican team, Liga Mex team, and Wrexham, of course, in the United Kingdom. And they might have spurred some change for the schedule change in their way, other than the United States investment over in the rest of the world. Although it's funny, the English people hate the Glazers so much. The owners of Manchester United, the United Kingdom, they hate them so much. It's kind of funny to me. Although Tampa's won a couple Super Bowls, but it's interesting. It's interesting. They do not like the Glazers, period. and it's gonna make me laugh because the next time I can't wait to talk to some English people and ask him about that. Not to make him angry, just to maybe have a joke and be like, dude, the Dan Snyder who sold the Washington Commanders was the most hated owner in the United States. And the guy that actually owns the Athletics, Fisher, he's kind of hated. That's more regionally, and there's a guy that owns the Carolina Panthers that threw a drink at a fan and tried to fight them over some sign that was on the side of the road at a bar. Anyway, so owners are funny. And the title for the worst owner is kind of being tossed around in the United States, but I feel like the Glazers, the Glazers in the United Kingdom, they will hold that for the foreseeable future. Anyway, this is Rapids Rant. I am Don Pablo. I want to thank you for listening. If you've listened this far, God bless you. Hopefully we see the smoke. They're trying to pick a new pope. They're locked in. The conclave is happening. We're going to get a new pope soon. Excited for the smoke to change colors. I am Don Pablo. If you listened this far, God bless you. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other, Rapids Rant fans. Have a good day. Let's go Rapids. Beat San Jose.